Hi, my name is Seth, and I provide contract services for MPS Kids, the broadcasting affiliate for MyPort Space, and DDYM, Developing Dreaming Young Minds. While in the studio recording content for MPS Kids, I had the opportunity to speak with our CEO, Sherreccia Jackson, about the upcoming release of his new ebook, Hard Skills versus Soft Skills: Achieving Balance in the Modern Workforce. In this interview, Sherreccia speaks about the start of DDYM and MyPort Space, what he desires readers to gain from the ebook, and he also provides a few additional nuggets to new and aspiring entrepreneurs. I am sure, as you listen to this interview, you will find that Sherreccia's passion is a welcomed addition to the world of social change. We are now going into the interview. Sherreccia, as you know, history is important, and with that said, how did DDYM and MyPort Space start?
First off, thank you for taking the time to meet with me. It is my highest honor to be sitting here in this studio having this conversation with you about DDYM and my port space. And if anyone would have said that I would be sitting in the studio today to me 20 years ago, I would probably would have said, I don't know. I just don't know. But I said that to say the journey of DDYM began actually 20 plus years ago. DDYM started in the summer of 1999. Now, listen, we did not originally start as DDYM. DDYM at that time was, we originally started as Basic Skills Learning Center in Madison, Mississippi, in the old Madison Regional High School gym. And so it kind of worked itself out. So I was originally working as a assistant teacher at the Madison Elementary School that was actually attached to this old gymnasium. And just as fate would have it, as a assistant teacher and an eager educator. At that time, I was an eager educator. Working with a couple of the children, I could see that there were some gaps in learning that needed some support around them. And just having the conversation with a couple of parents, I just said, let me work with your child and I can help them to get up on grade level. This was just simply one of those things where I was just going to just kind of work with a couple of kids, and it was going to be a summer deal. And they said, so what are you going to call it? And we ended up calling it Basic Skills Learning Center because it was just going to be a summer program around math and reading. Well, the word got out that this Jackson boy was doing some remediation support, and those, if my memory serves me correctly, we started with 4 children. By the end of that summer in 1999, we were up to 30 plus kids, and I didn't know what literally to do with all of those kids, but that was the best summer of my life. And those children, we got in that gym and we worked in those math skills. The next year, parents were coming to me and saying, my kid is up on grade level. They know their multiplication tables. They was reading. And I was excited. I was super excited about that. And so we expanded over into the Jackson metropolitan area and the surrounding areas, Canton, Gluckstadt, and Madison. And we created a mentoring program. And the mentoring program was called Developing Dreaming Young Minds. And that's where DDYM came. And when I look back at that today, just to know that we started out with the at heart theory of supporting education and being that bridge to help students to learn and to achieve was our primary goal. As we look forward to where we are right now with my port space, the focus has come more into line with preparing youth for career development and prepare them to actually to go into the workforce. And we have a online platform called My Port Space, which has several different parts in it that serve our youth, such as such as resume writing, cover letter development, portfolio development, interviewing skills, job preparation, job searches, social emotional development, and numerous other things that we have in there. My primary goal around that was to create a equal access for all children to be able to access this level of career exposure and preparation, and also additional resources that children can have as they are looking to go into the workforce. So today we are serving, where we had humble beginnings with starting with 4 children, we are now serving students both nationally and internationally. We have the capacity to serve students in countries that would not have had access to these types of resources. So I'm grateful for where we have been and where we are going. So that is the history of DDYM.
What do you want readers to gain from reading hard skills versus soft skills, achieving balance in the modern workforce?
So when I reflect on the question, what do I want readers to get from reading hard skills versus soft skills, achieving balance in the modern workforce? My goal, and let me be as direct as I possibly can be here. My goal, my target, my aim, my plight, and my purpose is to start a national conversation on how we prepare our students to enter and to exist in the workplace. You know, we see students going in, and you can just go to any restaurant, you can go to any retail store, and there are some significant lags in the service that we are receiving from workers. I mean, there are some deficits that exist. Just the thank you, the yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, just basic greetings. But nevertheless, we talk about customer service, getting to the root of the issue, going through the entire cycle of customer satisfaction. Those are some things that are lagging just at the natural observation of when you're entering into the workforce or when you are just being serviced by the workforce. But let me take a deeper dive in how this journey began for me, with not being no longer a person that's going to be on the sideline saying there is a problem, but there was a transition for me from saying that there is a problem to me saying I want to be a part of the solution to the problem. I read an article that was by Forbes magazine some time ago. It was some years ago. And it talked about the retention and turnover of graduates. And in this article, specifically, it referenced that when a graduate graduates and they enter into the workforce, 70% of those graduates experience turnover. Now, on the face of that, that was startling to me. That's a significantly large number, 70%. And when I did some further investigation around that, some of the reasons for the turnover was that it was not good culture fits. It was ill prepared, and which caused turnover, which the person was being terminated. So it wasn't their choices necessarily that they were leaving the jobs; they were being terminated. So my HR background began to kind of turn, and so let me take a more deeper dive into that. And over and over and over again, it wasn't that the students were not prepared with the hard skills or the technical aspects to get the job done. It was reasons such as follow through, communication, job awareness, self-awareness, being able to work effectively on a team. And so those are soft skills. Those are the things that need to be focused on a little bit more, which was the flashing light for me. To have a conversation about the importance of you being at work on time, or having the conversation about why it's important that you work on a team and that you contribute to the team and that you become part of a larger organizational working is important. And what better way, and when is it better to have that conversation versus not having that conversation? Well, let me just answer that directly. The better time to have it is when the student is a student and they have people that they can trust. They have teachers that have relationships with them. They have, that's a training ground. Because the time when you're not going to want to have that conversation is when you are considered to be an adult. And this is the job that is paying your car note, your rent, your mortgage, and you're fumbling through and figuring out all of those things at that time. That's going to be catastrophic for the individual because they're not going to be able to stay gainfully employed. So as a result, it feeds into a greater cycle. So when I answer the question, what am I wanting from this book? I'm wanting to transition people, transition educators, the powers that be, from inaction to action. That we need to have conversations, trainings, and we need to globalize the way that we prepare our students post-graduation to exist into the workplace. And I can believe and would say wholeheartedly, as an entrepreneur myself, I would want someone that have had these types of conversations with people to make them aware of what is awaiting them and what expectations or what contributions I'm looking for a solid employee to make to stay gainfully employed. And so if the shift to action happens as a result of them reading this book, then the goal for which I wrote it and for the reader would have been accomplished.
As you reflect back over your career and your decision to start a youth career organization from the ground up, what words of advice would you give to new, inspiring entrepreneurs?
The words of advice that I would give new and aspiring entrepreneurs would be never give up on your dream. Never. You're going to have to become your biggest cheerleader. You are. You can't give that responsibility to keep you encouraged and motivated to somebody else. It's your dream. And if you hear me say nothing else, you're going to have to be the person to keep that alive. And in keeping and never giving up on your dream, be intentional with your time and the people you spend your time with. Because if you give your time to other stuff that has no purpose to your purpose, you're going to find yourself pursuing other things that will keep you away from your purpose. And so you won't be able to achieve your purpose if you are not intentional with your time. And my next point that I want to make is know the value in creating value. That was something that took me a long time to process in understanding the value in creating value. If you are rendering a service or a product, then you are giving people something that they don't have. And so what that means is if they already have it, then they're not looking to you to give them anything. So you're going to have to become the subject matter expert in whatever you are rendering as your talent to as a service or as a gift. And you can do that. You can do that by reading books, going to seminars, something as simple as going to YouTube and selecting a motivational speaker that you can always go to and listen to. And at the base level, find a mentor, find somebody that has already accomplished what you are trying to accomplish. Because when you look to find that outside of your own box, then you are moving in the right direction. I want to say that anybody that knows Sherreccia knows that by any stretch of any type of imagination, I'm a mama's boy. When I tell you my mother was my best friend, I know the value of being appreciated. I know the value of being loved because I've experienced that in a way that even my mother is not physically present with me on this earth. I still feel the quality of her love. And she would often say to me, and there were times, hard times, when the years and the spaces and the finances and different things began to take its toll, because those are things that will happen in pursuing your vision. And she would often say to me as I would make my way just to lay on her shoulder, because it would be hard. And she would always say to me, baby, You were built for this. So I go back to my original statement of understanding and being intentional of who you spend your time with. Because you need to spend your time with people that are going to remind you that you are built for it. That this is something that's not going to be given to you, but you're going to have to work for it. And so that mentor can provide that for you. And now this is a little unconventional and what most people and wouldn't call words of advice, but it's life lessons that I've learned and one that I can say that has me steadfast to where I am now. Don't hold people hostage with your emotions by living offended. Let it go. Let it go. Celebrate closed doors, whatever those closed doors are. You don't know why people and situations said no to you. You don't know. But if you would trust the process of being turned down, trust the process of being told no, I promise you, you will have a connection with a network and a group of individuals that will help you to get to your next level. When I, Sherreccia, learned that piece, I became grateful for every phone call, every email, every text message, and every letter that I sent as a business invitation that was rejected. I learned to celebrate it and not be offended, because that is part of the building process of you as an entrepreneur. Les Brown, one of my favorite motivational speakers, said, you have to become hungry for what it is that you want. Nobody's going to give you anything. You're going to have to become hungry for it. And finally, celebrate the milestones. Doesn't matter how significant or insignificant it may be to somebody else. Celebrate the milestones and don't be afraid to fail. Failure is an option. If you are afraid of it, run to it. Run to it. If someone would have told me 20 plus years ago to that young man, not even in my 20s good, that this is where I would be sitting today, I would have said to them, wow, believe in your belief and you'll be okay.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to my interview with Sherreccia. To get your copy of Hard Skills versus Soft Skills: Achieving Balance in the Workforce ebook, please visit www.myportstore.us. Again, that is www.myportstore.us.